stand and chair today for the Hiku Community Board. Of course, the work of Dal and the partner at the moment, our spinning Jim. We can't make it today, and welcome everybody. And I'm going to ask Rachel, please, to have a bit for us.
Awesome, thank you. Itia tua homai kia mātou, tō rangi Māori e, tō aroha, tō kaha, tō maramatanga, mō tēnei rā. God, give us your peace, your wisdom, your understanding to make good decisions for our community. Ask a blessing on everyone here and the people that are not, and especially Jim and Adele this morning. Amen.
Okay, so we have apologies, any declarations of interest today? Check. We have apologies from our chair, Adele Gardner, and Councillor Ford. So we have speakers later on from Cardi around the Momentum Trust application, but right now we've got Yuka Rawari from Hiku, and you're going to speak, and you've got about 5 minutes. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Kia ora, everybody. My name is Luka Rawari, and I come from Hiku. I've come today to speak on the Hiku Hall. Because our person who was looking after that doesn't work with us anymore, Ngāhuia, I've been asked to come along and present to you what we do in the community. So we heard that the bill was coming up for lease, and we'll put an application in for it for a 30-year lease. And we've let the community board out there know that we were looking at this lease. They had a meeting last week, and they were all against it. Let me just say, there was Sharon, I think is her name, Sharon Adams. She's the and her husband, they're the chair. And they bought it. They were against it because they thought it was working up a Kainga who was after the lease. In fact, it was the Māori whānau. And we spoke to her on that, and we were saying that we are from the community, and we explained to her how long we had been in the community for, starting from my dad, who used to run a PEP scheme out there, right through to my brothers who had 21st in that hall. There was a brother who got married in there, the nieces and nephews who had their 21st in the hall. And we started up a rugby club there called Western United. We were also involved in the netball team, and it was all run out of the Hiku Community Hall. We were also involved in starting up the Orwell Dragons. We helped with that as well. But generally, if you was to say, were we part of the community, we would say, yes, we really are there. And that... So one of the questions we asked Sharon was, what have they done since for the last 10 years or so, because all we see is that it's been leased out to a farmer. Their cows have trampled our football fields. There was 2 fields there. They've just trampled them down to the ground now. Now there's nothing. There was trees cut down just recently, and it was heaped in the middle of the football field. All from the Dragons had to play this year in town here. They had to do all their training in town here. They won the competition last year, and they still haven't got a field to play on or to practice on. So, yeah, that's why we're here. We're here today to say we're here for the lease. If it was granted to us, then we would be keen on taking that lease. And so that's my spirit for today. Thank you. Any questions?
Through the chair. So when you say you'd be keen to take on the lease, or we, who would that be?
That would be the Rawari whānau.
Okay, yeah. So the Rawari whānau would take on the lease and would run it as, to return it back to
we want to turn it into a sports hub for all the communities. We want to make it a halfway point for Pangaru, Paorenga. Instead of them having to come all the way into town to play their games and that, we would be the central hub for them all. We were thinking of putting up basketball courts because those ones were overrun with grass and there's nothing there now. We want to build changing rooms, everything that that pertains to a football team, league team. We want to do that. To give it a big upgrade, we want to make the fields more presentable, and if there was room, we might even put a stand up there. Those are the sort of things we're after.
And how would you propose to fund those things?
We would fund that. Yeah, we would fund all that.
As a whānau, just get together and
we get together and do all the work. We have, well, you know what Dane does. He does all the underground drilling stuff and that. We've got another rallies who do bulldozer driving, digger driving.
family.
Yeah, we do all that. We've got painters, we've got builders. Both my sons work for Hiku Trust, they're builders down there. We've got painters that live in here, we've got all workforce here.
So, sorry, actually, so the breakdown at present, so how is it the current Herekino Hall committee, do they just not want to work with your group, or can you guys work together, or how does it work?
So we thought we'd give them a courtesy call by going over there and saying to Sharon and her husband, who's the chair, that what we wanted to do with it, because at the moment there's just nothing happening. And we presented what we wanted to do, and they were all on board, those two were really. But then they had a meeting and they thought it was going to be Waitomo Papakoinga, which is our organisation in town here. They thought it was going to be them who was going to be doing it all, running things, but in fact it was Azawi whānau. So I'm not sure where the breakdown was there. But when we presented to them at first, they were all on board. Well, I should say Sharon and her husband, who was the chair, Toe Adams. But so just last week we tried to we got in touch with Sharon and she came back with, they had a meeting and we didn't know about this meeting either, so and they were against it.
Okay.
And did they give a reason?
No. They didn't give a reason.
Is that after they'd known that it wasn't the Papakoinga doing it, they still didn't want, they still didn't care?
Yeah, well, so they thought it was Waitomo Papakoinga.
Yeah. Now they know it's not.
Now they know it's not, and we're not sure what's going to happen.
Okay.
Haven't had another meeting since, but we've asked whenever they hold another meeting, would we be able to come to that as well?
Yeah. It'd be great if they could work together.
Yeah.
No, I think we appreciate your critical, and we can't make any decisions, obviously. There's a committee out there, but I think we'll just chat about this later in the meeting, where we go to from there.
Yeah, where we can maybe help build some bridges and get some combos going. Yeah. Questions?
No. Get it on there.
All right, we'll move on.
Mai ana mena he ana koe te haere.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Ai. I te mea he take e ne whai muri waka kōrero o tēnei. Ka pai?
Yeah, well, yeah. So, you don't mind, I can, we've got a holiday program that we're running at the moment.
Yeah, my moko tana.
Oh, really?
You're talking about,
So,
yeah, thank
you. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. See ya.
Ka pai.
Can I take this with me as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, take another one of those just in case Dane didn't.
I will. If not, his father will have it.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think we've got Carly Reynolds from the Momentum Charitable Trust. Is Carly on there? Speaking to a funding application.
Hi, Carly.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Hi, I'm Carly. I'm from Momentum Charitable Trust. How are you?
But thank
Thanks.
you.
Cool. So we are, do you want me to broadly explain who we are, or are you just looking at the funding application in particular that we've...
Give us a quick rundown of who you are.
Okay, so we're a charitable trust who support people in prison and probation across Aotearoa. We work to support running life and financial skills programs in those prisons and probation centres. We also have developed a mentor program that's being piloted in Auckland currently, and with a plan to roll out nationwide. And that would pair volunteers in the community with people who are within 6 months of being released, and they'd be paired with them for up to a year. So when they're released, they receive ongoing support, and it's a structured program as well, but that's in pilot stage. The application that we're looking at is for our one-day programs at Kaitaia Probation Centre. We find that with the rural centres, it's harder to obtain regular funding. So councils are like one of our main sources of funding for the more isolated rural towns to get our programs to the people in those centres. The funds that we're looking for is 2 one-day programs. So our one-day programs are standalone events. However, the 2 programs that we applied for, one is our Work Ready, World Ready, and that focuses on all things to do with employment readiness. So they get like a CV template. They go through role-playing job interviews, how to apply for jobs, common interview questions, things like that. And it ends with like a goal-setting workshop where they can set a goal around work or anything around their life that they want to work towards, and then we use SMART goals, so we show them how they can break that goal down and then they can achieve that goal. And the other program that we've applied to is our Money and Me. Our Money and Me program is all around financial literacy. They get a budgeting template a personal budgeting template that they can take home and they can use to budget for their household. We talk around savings, debt awareness, especially around sort of high interest, I call them loan sharks, but high interest loans, and we explain about credit card and interest and compound interest and things like that, KiwiSaver, the importance of saving for retirement and how much you get on the pension and things like that. And then in both workshops, we talk about emotional resilience. In our Work Ready, they cover personality types and how to communicate with other personality types. So they take a test to find out what type, we use bird types. So what type of personality they are, and then we get them to do it for someone close to them, and then we do an interactive activity of how they can communicate with different types of people. And things like that. So, I mean, after completing our program, a few of the goals, and these are direct participant quotes from Kaitaia and from the Kaitaia Centre. So some of the goals that some of the participants have come away with after completing our programs is like start a savings plan, work smarter, not harder, save and invest my money. We touch on sharesies and things like that, and putting away like small amounts, and we try and make it really applicable for anyone on any type of wage, so that they're able to see that anything is achievable if you're just putting little bits away and things like that. For the Work Ready, we've had people say build a CV using the examples in the book, how that they've realised that after doing an interview, they're normally engaged within the first 6 seconds, so that's really important. A lot of them are saying they want to set goals, they want to create a CV. And then our ripple effect of our programs is it strengthens the families and whānau of all our participants, because they get improved financial and emotional stability. And a lot of our participants say that they're going to take this home and share it with their kids. We have a workshop that is about educating tamariki around money, and it starts from, I think, the age of 5 up until 18, and we break it down into activities that they can do with their tamariki to help them learn about how to save and things like that with their money. Yeah. That's our programs, and that's what we've sort of applied for. Our goal as an organisation is to support successful reintegration into the community and reduce reoffending through providing education, mentoring and practical support, because a lot of the people within the system haven't had that and they don't have the skills and tools to do that. So then a lot of them turn back to crime because it's easier because they don't have those skills. So that's our general goal, and that's what we've applied for this funding round. Is there any question?
Carly, sorry, through the chair. Bill Zabriskie speaking. Your programs, are they set per annum? I mean, or are they ongoing and they set dates?
So basically, we communicate with the probation centres. So we reach out to a probation centre and they'll say, yep, we have a group. And then when we apply for funding, we've floated a 3-month window with the probation centre and said that. So when we apply, we normally say within like a 3-month date range. But as soon as we get the funding, we book the programs within 2 weeks.
Yep.
And the program, sorry.
Why I asked was the fact that now I think the police funding precincts on crime is now available. So have you guys tapped into that? It just seems a bit, obvious to use that sort of, that fund.
Yeah, so that is definitely on our radar. The Proceeds of Crimes Act. We've looked into it, and that seems more in line with our mentor program than our one-on-one, our 1-day and 4-day programs that we run in prisons and probations, because we don't run the programs. We obtain funding, and then we have a program provider who then runs the programs. The mentor program is what we are hoping the Proceeds of Crime, because of the amount of money that the Proceeds of Crime starts at, would, I believe, fit better with the mentor program, but it is something that I will definitely be looking into for both. Yeah.
Carly, thank you.
Any more questions from the board?
I'm Cheryl Bainbridge here. You had a couple of lots of funding before. How do you judge the success of your program, please?
Okay, so we do pre and post evaluations. They're anonymously done. Everyone who completes the program will complete an evaluation, and we measure their learning prior to the program and then their learning after the program. And the program provider creates a debrief report, and that holds all their demographic data, and then also it holds their learnings after the program and before the program, so we can see the scale of the increases in learnings. And then also they give feedback to open-ended questions around what they liked, what they didn't like, what they plan to do with the skills that they've learned. And those debrief reports go out to our funders, they go out to the Department of Corrections and things like that. We have actually built an impact report. It's in its final stages with an external, I don't know what they're called, survey data analysis people. I didn't do well in statistics in school, so bear with me. But yeah, so we've done over our program since we started, we've gone and sent all the data away, and they've created an impact report. So that is in the final stages, and that will be going out to all our current funders, and that will show a breakdown of everything, of all the programs, the sites and the learnings and participant comments and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, Carly, Bill Zabriskie again. You mentioned that you use other providers. Is that a tender process, or do you use have you got contracts with other people and you use them regularly? Is it a tender process, or do you have regular providers?
So our current program provider is Life 101, and the reason we use Life 101 is due to the fact that, as far as I'm aware, there's no other provider that combines life and financial skills specific for clients within probation and prison. So there's a lot of life and financial skills program providers. However, Life 101 are trained to provide programs to people within the criminal justice system, and that's where I think that sets them apart. So yeah, they've had.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Questions?
Just one question through the chair. Who else do you apply for funding for this program? Like, I see the community board funded it twice in 2004, around 5K. Does any other providers give you funding for this particular area, or is it just the community board?
Oxford Sports Trust in the past have funded Kaikoe and Kaitaia probation.
Recently?
No, you guys are the only ones. Foundation North, we will be planning to apply. All our programs are standalone events, so we do apply to multiple funders throughout Aotearoa for programs throughout the whole.
But it doesn't seem like anyone other than us are funding it up here.
Not right now. I do plan to apply to Foundation North, I think it's next month, and I do plan to apply for some more programs, but with Kaitaia in particular, it's you guys, and if the larger funders decide to fund it, but we haven't had much luck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's right.
Oh, thank you, Carly.
Do you have a question, Brian?
Fine.
I'll just say, what a wonderful program. Pity, they can't learn it inside.
Yeah, or at school.
But it is what it is. And I know. Well, I just want to commend you on the job you're doing.
Thank you. We do run them in Northland Prison. Oxford Sports Trust is a large funder for Northland Prison, and that's, I think, why they have scaled back on probation, because they're focused on the prison. But yeah, we do run them in prison. What we're finding, though, is funders are much less likely to support prison, unfortunately, which is an area that really needs support, because they do need that in prison, and then they need the support and probation when they come out as well. So yeah, it's an area that could be improved, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. We'll be discussing that application later in our meeting.
Awesome.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, Carly.
Do I leave?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. It was nice to meet you all.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, item 6.1, confirmation of previous minutes. Got a move up? Yeah. I'm sure Cheryl's been over those previous minutes for us. I know you right. Who can get out that they're a true.
Yeah, I was here. I can.
I was here.
Who's checking that?
Go.
Yeah. So we can confirm, Bill, that they're a true account of the previous minutes.
What I can see. Mr. Chair.
All in favour?
Right.
You? Okay. Come to 7.1. This is a report on the new ground lease to Waipapa Sports Complex, incorporated over 24. Waipapa Balmain number page 14.
Through the chair. Sorry. Just one question on the minutes motion. It states here that Hiku board requested official notification outcome of resolution, etc., to Lake Oia. Do we know if that's been done?
And I think staff to follow up. I was provided an update after the agenda was run that they were given notifications back in December of the information they needed then, but I've asked if they can follow up again.
On that resolution? Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
Good. Okay, so the recommendation is that the public consultation process is commenced on the granting of a new ground lease to Waipapa Sports Complex incorporated over 24 Waipapa Domain Road, recreation of the section 34 block X, Rangiru, SD approximately 82,000 square metres. The terms of the proposed lease shall be 30 years, 10 plus 10 plus 10, annual rental 121 plus GST for 2024-25 and reviewed annually in conjunction with the final district council fees charges schedule. The Hiku Community Board is appointed to hear any submissions received in response to the consultation process and to make recommendations to council. So can we got to move that first recommendation?
Yeah.
Rachel, and a seconder. Darren. Any comments?
Yes, please. I did flag this with Te Runanga o Ngai Takoto, just saying, take a look at this because it's something that was taken under the Public Works Act, and it wasn't like a formal thing, but I'm just recommending that there be some sort of discussion with them, whether I follow up as a councillor, just to. I did say, and I think I sent a copy of the last one, and there's been no comeback. But I just think that that's important to do, given it was taken under the Public Works Act. And the sort of verbatim thing that, the comments I got back was, oh, that sounds all right. But, I think it's best to be done, formally. Just saying.
Yeah. Through the chairs. So, Hilda, does that mean that there'll be asking for ownership or change of ownership in the future?
Idea.
Okay.
I have no idea, but I don't know what the treaty settlement claim overlay is. Just doing that in hearings about iwi that have got lands back in treaty settlements. So I haven't looked at Ngai Takoto's, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why we got to just do that diligence stuff. I don't know if it's part of that thing at all. Just something to do, just to say we've done it and just have a conversation with either, who is it, Wallace, what's his name? Rivers,
yeah.
Wallace Rivers,
So
Craig's Wells, or any of those kind of trustees, just so, it's flagged.
So, are you saying, Fire, that it hasn't been brought to their attention at this stage?
I mentioned it at the last meeting and sent a screenshot of but no response came back.
Well, the recommendation is that the board recommends to council that the public consultation process is commenced. So at that point, when it goes to council, presumably
make sure. Yeah.
I'm just saying that because I know there's two interests there, the the sports club,
Yeah.
and then also the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we just look at speaking of the school, and that on the page 15, where it says leased area, that provides a really good update of just where they're at. And they've had a kōrero out there with Michelle from the council and the Waipap Domain committee, and they've all had a talk about it. They're all seem to be on the same page, and they're working through what areas might be useful for the school to lease off the domain or do a separate one, but they're all kind of trying to work together to make that happen. So they support.
There is, yeah. Michelle is online if anyone wants to.
Yeah, so I believe they support the lease back to the Waipap domain, and then they're working through it all together to get a great outcome for all.
Through the chair, that satisfies the two parties at this stage. But then again, Hilda, if we're looking at the side you talked about, then we might have to do an amendment. But then, like Cheryl said, that's covered if we.
Yes, it is. I'm just flagging that here with this committee, and I just what I'll do is, so I didn't read all of this till this morning, and I didn't have time. I'll just send them the minutes. That's okay, because that's public thing.
Yeah.
And then, leave it there.
It does say here, should public consultation be approved, relevant, iwi hapu needs to notify BS if we but we do have Michelle online who's raised her hand to speak.
Cool.
Thank you.
Hey.
Michelle?
Through the chair, thank you. I was pretty much just going to reiterate what you just said, that if public consultation does get approved, we will 100% be informing, of course, all members of the public, including iwi and hapu of the area. And we can bring up the fact that the land was taken via Public Works Act. If the lease does go through public consultation and gets approved, I have been thinking about potentially including some terms in the lease to speak about Public Works Act and how that will affect the leases going forward. That is something that I need to discuss with our legal team, because those things haven't been included in our leases up until now, but it's definitely something that I will be investigating.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so we've got a mover, we've got a seconder, so all we've got to do is vote on the recommendation to council. Is that clear? Yep. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you, Michelle. We'll move on to moving on to 7.2, page 21, which is just to the annual rural travel funding applications. Page 21.
For you, Mr. Chairman, what is Mount Hobson this weekend?
We have
Catherine, right?
Yeah, Mount Hobson is a school, I believe a private school, but this is for activities that are taking place in outside of school hours. Sport Northland went through and confirmed that everything met the requirements that it met, that are required to meet. So, yeah.
Basically, I just want to know where it is.
The Christian school at White Hat. They come out of Mount Hobson.
Yes, Mount Hobson, I've never heard of it.
Well, it's a satellite school. They're a satellite for the Mount Hobson school in Auckland, and that's what the Christian thing come under at the moment, but they've got their own charitable status now, so they'll end up being their own, but they come under that satellite. That's what they would have applied under, I would think.
Okay, so we've got $7,521 available, and these applicants are seeking $7,520. You could have done $1 better, Catherine. I'm happy to move it because they will move it.
Through the chair, we tried, Cheryl, we tried.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Darren. I'll second it. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, move on to 7.3, which is the project funding reports, page 25. And we still got So we've only got the one from the just happens to be from the Mental Charitable Trust, is that correct? Yeah. So we've got a mover for that?
Yeah, I will.
And a seconder? No issues with the report, anybody? All in favour?
Aye.
So we move on to 7.4, which is funding applications, page 29. How's our money going, team? I shouldn't say our money. How's our ratepayers' money going?
Good.
So,
Can you tell us a bit more about these applications, please, Catherine? It looks as though 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are for similar events at the libraries.
Yes, they are, and they have applied to all 3 community boards for different amounts of money depending on what activities are taking place in that ward's libraries. The libraries are looking at putting on a series of events for Matariki 2025, and they have invited these artists to come in and do what they do for the community. What more would you like to know? There was more information in the supporting information. Did you guys get that?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
So do we?
How long is it going to take, basically? How long will they be up here in this ward?
I'm not entirely certain. I believe they're doing 2 or 3 workshops in each ward over the Matariki week.
Okay. So we're looking at 5,816 all up for these activities.
If you would like, I can get Marin on the line. She is the librarian that's working with these guys about this application, or these applications.
Not really.
Catherine, is it the same group that were there last year? Or are they?
I think at least 2 of them are new ones. So it's not necessarily the same people each year.
Do we know how many people attend them, Catherine? Like, are they lots of people attend the workshops? Do we know?
I believe so. Some of them you do need to book into purely because of the resources. That was all in the supporting. I'm just going to go and find it in there, because one of the things that we do ask them is how many people will be participating, and this was done for each of the wards. And so they reckon there could be, so for Tanya's one, they reckon up to 80 people could be participating in this. For Janine's, they are saying, it's number of members, next down,
Sorry,
60.
Sorry, Catherine,
Yep.
Is that through all the wards or just through to Hiku?
Just through to Hiku, because each application was done separately for each ward. So 80, 60, next page. Nope, not that page. Oh, come on, computer, thank you. 25 for the Korari Enterprises. That's, I believe, paper making. So that was much more intensive. And for the one with Medina Coney, they're looking about 25 people there. So 125, about 150 odd people across all 4 of them.
Are we wanting to make a recommendation here of all of them at once? Or are we literally, I'm just looking at those numbers, let's say 80 people, decided to go to Tanya's workshop, that's only actually $20 per head, which, you know, some of these workshops are quite substantial what they're doing. Like that paper making one's awesome.
I know, I'd love to go to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a big mess.
Look, I don't know about everybody else, but I think the position we're in with what we have to grant, I move that we support this, but this is the type of thing that we possibly won't be supporting as often as we have done in the past. Looking at our, you know, we don't even know what our budgets are going to be. You know, that I know that as a board we've definitely suggested that we want to be strong on more fixed assets and infrastructural type things. But we did support this last year, and I think we have the funds to give it another go. It's my opinion. I don't know about the rest of us.
I agree.
It's not a huge amount.
It's not a huge
And if you get participation like that, that's
Plus,
good.
I don't know that you'd see just the people that might come into the centre, have a coffee, the buzz, the vibe, you know.
I'd like to see photos in the reports and things like that, and the amount of people and
we could ask that.
interaction.
We could ask. Why don't we ask for
all of them?
people that attended, and maybe just some photos in the report as a
Through
condition.
the chair, we have updated the project report and we ask for that now, which before it was just like, if you'd like to. Now we say we would like to. It's much more front and centre that we really want to see exactly what people have done with your funding.
And how many have attended.
Yes, and that's all. We've updated the application forms and the reporting forms, so they do have to state very clearly how many people have participated.
That's awesome.
So the first one, for example, is travel 127, accommodation $300, which would have to be for 2 nights, I imagine.
Yeah.
And facilitator 600. Does that seem reasonable?
I did look at that myself too, Cheryl. It was, if it's a couple of days and we are getting that many people through, I think it's worth.
Brilliant.
You know, they're not paying for it, which is, and so the ratepayers are helping. What do you? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, is it for adults or school children? Who's
Adults, I think.
I think.
What is it, Wonga?
Medicine, bloody medicine.
And Raranga?
We
Oh, yeah.
See, we're not granting the full amount that they're asking for each. So,
Okay, so somebody's moved it. John.
Yeah.
Could we scale up the momentum one, the 1,000?
Oh, we'll do that one.
You haven't got to that one?
Do that
You're not doing the whole page.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we want to move these individually? So
I'd like to move this together.
I think we'll move the 4.
yeah.
Yeah, the Matahiki again. Do I have a seconder?
Yep.
All in favour?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Catherine. I will move on to you're still there. We've got the recommendation for the Momentum Charitable Trust, which we heard from Carrie earlier. Would anyone like to speak to this, or anyone want to move it first?
It's definitely not a government function because councils aren't supposed to be duplicating government functions. I mean, I think it's a good thing to do. But just asking.
Should be part of Ministry of Justice.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe we can move it and recommend that
In the future.
they apply to the proceeds from crime funds through the Ministry of Justice.
Seems a logical step.
So, sorry, are we going to say more than 1,000?
No.
Okay.
Just saying 1,000. One that a proviso that database try and secure funding from the crimes.
Move that.
Do we want to look at doing more?
Did you want to speak to that?
Oh, yeah, I get the rationale about, scaling it down. And maybe, yeah, I'd suggest 2, but that's just my opinion.
Yes.
When's our financial year end?
30th of June.
Yeah, I'd say 2,000.
You want to move that, Rachel?
Yeah.
Got a seconder?
But
Yeah, I'm down second.
yeah, but with the proviso, like you say, of really needing to look at other funders going forward, because we are the sole funder of this and it's not really our.
But it has an impact.
It has a massive impact, and I'm all about financial literacy and the the programs for the kids, and it's just should have lots more of that everywhere.
Don't do the kids banking things that we used
that
to
was
do.
so
Kids,
good.
yeah. Can't even get a bank account. Kids can't.
Okay, so Catherine Rachel's actually moved on this one that we give them $2,000, but comes with a letter regarding, we've done this a few times, and we suggest they look for funding through proceeds of crime in the future.
Yes, and I have been making notes as we go through so that it will go straight in there.
We had a seconder, which is Darren. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
There's a new charity here in Kaitaia too, I think, or something new supplying. It is a
Yeah. So that's our funding applications. That's our timing. Then too, we do have Dan going to speak to try to find that information.
I'm now talking a question while we wait. Catherine, we've got some money in our reserves contribution account that's supposed to be used for reserves and so on. Has that been allocated to anything, or should we be looking at allocating it for something?
I'm not sure which funding you're referring to. Is it the one that's for town beautification and that sort of thing?
It's an old fund that, the council used to charge developers a certain amount to go towards reserves and so on when they did subdivisions and that.
It's not one I'm familiar with. I will need to go and do some investigating. Is it okay if I come back to you at the next meeting and let you know?
That would be wonderful.
Okay, thank you.
And while you're still there, Catherine,
It's okay, I'm not going anywhere.
okay, but your visit to Te Ahu it was very good, and there's a couple more coming for next time. I spoke to Angela.
I've already got one booked in on the 29th, which will be the next day I'm up there. And if they just want to email the funding at fndc.govt.nz email, I am happy to set up an appointment, or they can just drop in. I will be there all day from 10 till 3 at a minimum. So that's Tuesday the 29th.
So Angela Phillips from the Safer Communities group is going to try and make some time with you on that day as well.
Thank you.
I'll, like the previous, I'll copy you into an email. Thanks, Catherine.
No worries.
So we've got I've got a few minutes. Then Omar is hopefully turning up to go over the drainage bylaws information.
We can move on, can't we?
Or should we get him down here, because I've got 11 o'clock. He was meant to speak. We've only 9 minutes.
I'll get a coffee.
So 5 minutes break and then.
Oh, sorry. No. He's got to grab coffee.
Can we pause the live stream, please?
approval for the bylaw to be amended. And then there's a workshop with Donald and Shane. Sorry, I wasn't there. I was on annual leave that day, so I had to have meetings with Donald and Shane to get all the issues that came up. Thankfully, Donald has made a really nice issues register from all the things that he brought up. And so there was issues from the wording of the bylaw to the technical changes that you wanted to see in the bylaw. So having all that listed was actually really useful for me because now I can just go through it and start working through it. I've had a few projects on at the beginning of the year, so I'm only really just starting to get into the land drainage now. So I'm in the research phase, so trying to find out as much information as possible so that we can make the best informed decisions. Finding out who's responsible for what and gathering technical advice. So I've spoken to Fiona and she has given me the most advice out of anyone so far. So that was really, really useful, and we photocopied half the world, maps and things like that. So around the maps of the drainage assets and the areas of benefit, as well as what's private, what's council drains, that was the most useful information I've had so far. Was looking at especially the areas of benefit. But I have started finding some of the council maps, and it ranges from something that someone had drawn, and it's just like a little, then it goes there, and then it goes there, and a couple of diagrams, which has been terrible, and actual ones that have been looked at with GIS mapping. So I've got a bit of work to do there to get it so it's actually properly GIS done, so that we can definitively say this is private, this is ours, those sorts of things. And anyone that wants to look at it can actually look at it and go, oh good, I can understand that. Because at the moment,
why do you want to get into private?
Oh, we don't really want the private, we just want to be able to distinguish the private from the public.
So you had all these maps out, and you've got the list of the drains.
Yeah.
So what was hard about that?
The difficulty is that all of the maps at the moment. So when we're looking at things like say parking, we have all the GIS mapping, and it says exactly from this is where it is. So that's basically what we're trying to get, so that it's all across the board, whatever it is, parking, drainage, whatever, we know exactly where these things are, and it's really accurate. So that's really what we're trying to do.
That's why we had a budget for the previous 5 years for a drone that never happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine that would have been there. So infrastructure at the moment, so that's the infrastructure team. They've been having a lot of people coming and going. So I've been having issues trying to get in touch with whoever it is in infrastructure to tell me where they're up to, because the person who's supposed to be in charge of drains hasn't been employed yet. So I'm talking to Tanya, trying to get whoever's the new person off block to figure out that one. So that has been a bit of a roadblock that I've hit at the moment, is trying to get some straight answers out of.
It's just fire Fiona.
Like actually, that's what I was going to ask you.
Like I'm not even kidding.
Hire consultants or anything like that to help, rather than worrying about staff, because we know the staff are overpressured and
sometimes we do.
And they don't have the answers.
They don't have the answers. They're going to start green, whereas someone like you, well, or like previous staff, Troy Smith, who used to be out here, he understood a lot.
Yeah.
I'm asking, is there anyone looked at consultancy that have been involved in it before? Bruce House was another one that was up here all the time.
What about Robert? Was he?
Robert Turgoy, well, he was managing the whole
He's
thing.
back, isn't he? So
it would probably be far cheaper to hire someone who actually knows what they're doing for a small amount of time and get it done than employ the whole staff member who's got to spend so long getting familiarised with the thing.
The hard part of the hard part of the council is
straight
only
into
the Hiku ward that has dam drainage. The rest don't.
There's no point in having a whole
sorts of questions that I can take from my manager.
I've been on this council. This is my last year, and the same things have been said.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm really aware that we can say the same stuff.
So when the drains were started, and I covered it for the start off, Ministry of Works put them in, you went straight from there to the sea. And you could take your digger along and dig them all out when necessary. Now, because of developments, they've all changed, and the digger guy can't do that now. So, what are you going to do something about making it simple again?
That's the wording of the bylaw. That's why how the bylaw sits right now is average.
Yeah,
Because
It's not even existing.
Well, no, it's existing because I've tried to use it, but council don't know what to do.
it's not clear.
Everything in it says with approval of council, but the approval of council when you apply for it is they don't know.
Yeah.
There is no process. They don't know how to do it. So all our avocado areas up north that have added on drains, the county drains, etc., have not even attended to this.
No.
And the council didn't know what haven't got a process.
But that's what we need to do, have the process so that you can go along to them and say, your trees are too close to the drain, move them, whatever. How's that going to happen? Are you onto that?
So that's why
So
I'm amending the bylaw so that when these things get implemented, things are really clear, they're really simple to understand, and it's not this wobbegs going on.
And so we need monitoring officers following that.
That's right.
Through the chair, I have been employed as the monitoring officer.
you bet was sorry.
I'm
What?
just going to let them know what's happening.
Yeah, but
Because-
you still need to declare your interest.
Oh, sorry. I have been given a small role to go out and check that work is being done.
Okay.
But we haven't figured out quite yet how we're going to do it.
Okay, so first of all, you need the bylaw.
The
Yeah.
bylaw is in place,
Yeah.
There is a bylaw in place.
but it hasn't been reviewed because its time frame ended October 2019.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. And we have been asked, no, sorry, it was 2019 was amended, and now it only lasts 4 years?
3 years.
3 years.
So what do we do now?
So you carry on with the old bylaw.
Yeah.
Trying to implement it, but it's implemented unimplemented.
Yeah.
And they basically, that's where it's important to talk with compliance to say, okay, this is a bylaw, how are you using it?
Yeah.
They all cough and splutter and don't know what to do, and they try and use the RMA.
Well, nice for them while it's going.
And that's the only place you can actually give an abatement notice. Can you tell me with a bylaw, if someone says that breaching the bylaw, what is the process legally? Abatement notices, fines, etc., or none of that with the bylaw?
Bylaw is limited in what you're able to. You can prosecute through court, but fines are limited. Like you couldn't say you will be fined $1 million if you do this. Like it's very minimal in what we can actually fine. So you'll find that really big corporations like the avocados may just look at the fines and go, I don't care. But that's just bylaws.
They'll still be sending a signal.
But in order to give a fine, you have to give an abatement notice.
Yeah.
But under what law?
It'll be under the local government act. Yeah.
So that's not the bylaw, but the bylaw makes it.
The bylaw's
Under the Land Drainage Act.
No. Bylaw is the FNDC law, not an NRC law, not an RMA, not a local government.
So it's local government, so LGA Act.
But the bylaw says it has to follow with them, doesn't it?
So it has to go through what the local government act.
So what is the time frame to have this completed? Because last October was coming up faster a year ago.
Yeah, that's right. So we're working through the stuff where I'm trying to get all the information, I'm trying to get everything nice and clear. Once I've got those changes, then I can go to legal and say, this is the changes that we want to make. They'll be able to tell me whether legally that's okay. And then I can come back to you guys and say, these are the changes that we want. Does this sound right? RC does. And then it goes out for wider consultation, and then it goes to council.
What changes do we want?
Well, the changes that you asked for at the workshop. So there's some technical type things like how far from a drain could be, fencing and all that sort of stuff. So there's those technical things. A lot of it was around the definitions of things, around wording that makes no sense.
And enforcement.
Yeah.
Or the areas, the map areas, because the bylaw talks about the drainage area, not the drainage asset.
Yeah, not the asset, and it also doesn't talk about the area of benefit.
No.
And the area of benefit comes in with the rates.
Yeah.
So,
I got that.
yeah.
So when can we workshop to give you all that information?
That's a good question. If you want to workshop and do that, we can do that.
You'll need to talk to the other chairs too, won't you?
Yeah. Like Jeremy,
Dina.
It's me or here and Dean and then Jeremy for Mototangi. Mototangi, that is, it's just like these maps. I know that Turimovich had started GISing it, and I know he did some in the Kaitaia area, but it stopped.
Yeah.
And he'd sort of like come and he was trying to do it on the map and working out with our drain measurements or links of drains that we have, where is the start and where is the finish. Basically, most people do know that, but as the generations are passing on, we're losing those points.
Yeah.
The drainage committee people basically know where they are, but then you've got to be careful, us 70-year-olds are getting 30 years in council and still getting nowhere.
Yeah.
But that's not hard, and that's easy enough to do. With you taking on this role, you're going to walk every one of these drains anyway, walk, drive, whichever, and to see with that. And isn't it really easy? Well, I mean, you can do it on a computer, A to B, and how much measurements of it.
Yeah.
But how good is aerial mapping and getting down to that level?
Well, that's where I need to talk to the people that do that. But it tends to be really good once they've done it. It is really accurate.
They've done it for the cycle trail. They should be able to do.
Yeah, they've done it for cycle trail. They've done it for parking, all those sorts of things. They do it for roading.
So, taking into account all workshopping, etc., and sorting all this out, when can we expect some action?
I wouldn't expect it to go in from council before the next election, because I know the backup that is with all different papers. And I'm not going to, say, it's going to be done when it's not going to.
Understand.
But beginning of next year, I can see that coming through.
We still need.
I think we'll have everything sorted before the end of the year, but to actually go in front of council won't be until the end.
Okay, so what happens regarding getting it sorted out?
We'll get a workshop.
Do the workshops, get all the information and the actual bylaw correct. Make sure people are happy with the definition and just happy with.
So when are you able to do that?
Well, I'm able to do that from now.
Dana's got the greatest knowledge by a country mile.
Yeah. She was great.
I better pass it on before it's too late.
and this is the thing, I read it
about 70
times. Like a cloning with non-being.
So have the other committee members that have other maps for other areas done the same thing, like offloaded their info to him? Have they done that as well, or is it just you, Fiona, so far?
No, because it's all the maps are there. There's only one map for Waihara and Kaikino and one for Mototangi. It's Kaitaia is the hardest area.
Yeah, right.
With so many maps, with so many drains. I think Mototangi's got 12.
Yeah.
Waihara has got 7 and Kaikino's got 2. And down here we've got 100 kilometres.
It is huge and Something like
Well,
that.
yeah, there's the overlap there, but
It's never
what's happening here, that'll come through with the management plan, but what's happening here, he's only shouldn't say that.
No, you
He is a policy planner rather than
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
so
the
he's
technical.
just there to write policy.
Infrastructure.
But that's got to be taken care of anyway, because
Yeah.
But maybe we do
Like
need
yourself
to
on that.
really encourage them to appoint or like maybe contact somebody to really get this right one time, not
Well,
for a whole.
Well, I've been told that I've been on board for the last few months.
We can't get them on the telephone, can we?
No.
Hopefully they're going to work.
But
They'll be here on
onboarding
Tuesday.
someone's not going to have this kind of knowledge.
No.
As soon as they go back to
No.
FICO, they've got such a load that this is little and it's out of their area.
It's not little for our farmers, that's the
No, it's
No,
really
and drainage is the basis of everything.
Yeah.
And the development that's happening in the north is
It's
will
never be
encroaching.
as easy to do as it is right now.
That's
It's only going to get more difficult. If they have to pay someone to just get it nailed, I can't see that isn't a good use of it.
Can you do a report to council on land drainage on this and say what you would need?
We've actually got the delegation, so I think it should go through the board.
Have we got some money?
Eh?
No. It's a targeted rate.
No, but I mean like to get consultant or
We had in
somebody
the
to
budget
get
last
this
year,
done.
which I've been working through the budgets with them. We had money and they had charged quite a lot to have a full-time person over the 3 districts, or the 3 areas, and they couldn't find anyone. So we've taken Darren on board now. At least somebody can go out there and check the drains and go, yes, the contractor gets paid, so that the contractor's sitting out there not being paid without anyone checking the work. And if somebody brings up about work that needs doing, well, Darren's got to look at it and look at the budget and know, yes, we can do that, or prioritise the work within the budget. I've done a lot of work in the last. We had that. Oh no, it was Adele. We met with the finance to actually make sure we had the rates put in for the 25-26 year correctly, because Motangi had a 0 rate because they had been charged too much. So we've got that process there, and the Kodai rate is going to have to go up because just the sheer cost of things now. Spray contracts went from 60 cents to 70 cents, so that was another $10,000 just in the Kodai drainage area for one spray.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Oh, it's fine.
See you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I will, don't worry.
Or Marianne, yeah, are we able to using our live stream thing?
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do after that workshop is move motion, recommendation from the Hiku Community Board. We request that a letter be sent again to all land drainage ratepayers explaining their obligations under the land drainage bylaw. B, request that staff progress the draft land drainage management plan, and C, request that a workshop be held for land drainage bylaws. So I'm going to move that.
Move.
And second, and all in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we're going to move on to 8.1, which is page 94, and it's basically going over our open resolution report.
So the secretary of the full committee has been given the relevant information regarding the full committee for Oakley Polygon.
That one there?
Yeah.
According, yes, we've sent that to John Templeton.
Yes, sorry. So they had requested this in December last year after we received the staff did give them the information that they required at the time, but we've just asked if they can go back again to give official notice of what the outcome was.
Okay. That one.
I'd be kind of inclined to leave it on.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Until
it happens.
It happens.
Yeah, John
But the next one,
We can update that.
with Joe probably if you dealt with it today, eh?
Yeah.
Resolution, through the chair, the confirmation, resolution 2025-1, just to read, catch up. Note, Bill Zabriskie requested the stop below on a hillside slips over the main access road to Rangipura settlement. A suggestion was also made that this be referred to Deputy Mayor Cully Stratford as she attends civil defence meetings. Do we get any updates on that?
I got one just the other day. I believe they were sent out for, I can't find it, but of course, more staff were sent out to do another site visit. Then once they've done that, determine what needs to be done, then we'll receive an update from this.
Could you send me a copy of that email, please? It's just that I've got a meeting with the chair tomorrow. Thank you.
So any other discussion on the open resolution report? We're going to remove the Waipapakori sports complex. Yep.
And we have now a report on all policies in this agenda.
Yes, that's all right.
So that one can probably go.
Will that resolution read the drainage go into this report?
Should of the motion that we made?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll come up on
the motion, sorry.
Resolution.
Okay.
So we could probably get rid of the old ones, I think.
Keep them on
I think
the
they're still good. No, leave them on. We need our pages full of them. So what's the story with North Park toilet?
Actually, I can update the board on that. I've been speaking with originally Gold said, no, this is not in our business plan. We're not doing it. This is giving us rights to use that, reserve that area behind the welcome sign for a toilet, for public toilet. I went back and said, I questioned their board's decision. You have to give us a better answer than that. I mean, and then I found old history on all these toilets that they'd actually placed around New Zealand, helping support communities. And
I heard nothing back, and I actually phoned the lady direct, who was actually very helpful and has said it has gone up the chain to further management decision. So hopefully we're getting some there.
The door hasn't slammed down.
I sort of mentioned, that this could get very public. I want some pictures of us outside the spot, and which it could. There's a lot of community support for these toilets, so hopefully Gold going through their next decision and they come back with something different.
Good.
Okay. So we'll leave it in there. Yeah, sure, I'll get updated. Sure.
No, just
No.
read it there, please.
Yeah. All right, so we have a mover and a seconder for the resolution report.
Hello.
Second. All in favour?
No.
Right. Item 8.2, page 101, Hiku Community Hall Annual Information Report. Does our board general over there have anything to say?
No, I mean, we've been waiting for that. It's all there. I'm just basically waiting now for see what's going to happen in terms of the divestment and all that, and where the council's going to go from there. So that's all I'm waiting for now. What the next step is. In terms of
This is for Lake Gore here.
this is for all of them. Yeah. That's all. Fire.
I'd like to thank you, Phil, for your work on the horse. It's
Thank you. Thank you.
So we've got a mover to receive that information or for any information on a seconder. Down.
Going to say
All in favour? Aye. Okay, 8.3, page 139. Is draft al fresco dining licenses for comments. The recommendation to the Hiku Community Board pursuant to the Council Resolution passed on 30th of June 2022 provide comment on the renewal of our fresco dining approval applications, either from Juicy's on the Waterfront Cafe, Beach Box Cafe, which I take it as the one down Cooper's Beach, and Muscle Rock Cafe and Bar.
Comment, support them.
Yeah, exactly.
Support them and don't. No, in the past we've questioned the cost. These businesses are doing it tough as it is.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So yes, we support them. Is that all we're going to do? Someone to move that?
Yeah.
Full support from our board.
Yeah.
Seconder? Darryl, seconder. Right, who's moved it? Cheryl? And right.
Yeah.
All in favour?
Aye.
Go for it.
So I'm going to move to item 8.4, page 152, and we've got the members' report. We've got 100%. Yeah. Oh, geez. Chair, Gardner's report, Cheryl's, Bill's,
And John's.
and even mine. I must have known I was going to be in this situation.
Setting the example, John.
Yeah, mate. So we'll start. Obviously, Vera Girl isn't here at the moment, but you can see she's been doing the usual amount of mahi up until now. And I must say, Adele got me to go to council on Thursday last week.
and it was my first time, and it was good. It was very good. I was very impressed with the way Moko runs meetings and keeping the staff honest, isn't he, Marissa? So we'll take Adele Gardner's report as read, and then we'll move to Cheryl.
So one of the issues I raised was Eric Wagner's petition about the need for stormwater and better planning rules for Haukura. The response is the district plan is following a process that now sits with commissioners, and what is raised is outside of council control. What does that mean? Are they going to get stormwater? Is somebody looking into stormwater? That doesn't make their response makes no sense to me. As to what that means for the people of Haukura.
How would you like me to work do this, Cheryl?
Well, what I want to know is what can the people of Haukura be told about what has happened as a result of their petition? It's quite simple, really.
Couldn't myself, Felicity, and Mate Rabbits, do they have a link to their petition? Please.
Well, it was presented last August, so it should be somewhere. That's 10 months ago, 8 or 9, something like that.
It should be attached to the minutes online. So I can go look for it.
Okay, so are you going to put that on the open resolution report?
Yes.
I can.
I'll do whatever so that we get an answer.
Anything further on your
You're just getting started, John. Come on now.
I'm actually looking at this going, wow.
So the next one is, there has still been no reply to our request, and we've got a response to the board apparently on the 4th of July of 2025, which hasn't happened yet, but there you go. If they had told us, if they'd listened to our submission and said, these are the issues you've raised, these are our responses, we'd know where we stand. That's all we would be looking for, and we could not actually get that information.
Nothing. Sorry, Cheryl, on which part? I've lost you.
In our presentation that we did.
Yes.
Most presentation.
Yes.
Your answer says that you've made a presentation, which we already know. The submissions were put online where nobody reads them. But what we should have had, we made a submission. What we should have got from the council was a response to say, we've noted your submission. These are the points you've raised. This is what we're doing about all of them. And it might be no money, or we'll do it next year, or whatever. We haven't actually had a satisfactory response. And I would like a better response to the submission that we will be making by the end of this month. Next one is Oh, are you right? Okay. Madagascar ragwort, which is a huge problem. It's becoming a huge problem right out at Rangiputa and up north opposite Tute Valley Road. There's a whole paddock full of it. It's just spreading like mad. It's hard to get rid of. I was in the South Island and I asked my daughter-in-law to attend a meeting with the Minister, Andrew Hoggard, and Joe Carr, various ones from NRC and Mark Cameron, etc. And so I raised it at the last meeting, but Adele actually asked me to put it in formally in this meeting. So what I want to do is a resolution saying that the Community Board formally asks NRC to take the lead, and here are the words on page, you can just fill them in afterwards, 155, to establish a multi-agency working group to develop a coordinated Madagascar ragwort strategy, fast-track NRC classification to enable regulatory control measures, ensure fair representation of private farmers in future discussions, increase DOC accountability for invasive weed control on conservation land, and launch an education and awareness campaign led by NRC. And it's really important because the amount of land that's being rapidly taken over by this weed is good farmland that can't be used for anything else. It works, right?
Well done.
So I'm going to move that.
I support that.
I will second that.
Thank you.
All in favour?
Aye.
Next one is Hiku roading. They want a reduction of the 100 kph speed limits because it can't drive at 100 km anyway. Can we just request that? I spoke to Elizabeth about it. She said, you know, there's issues regarding the government's direction on speed limits, etc., and there's no budget anyway. So can we resolve that the council develop a policy on speed reductions and ask the communication department, that's on that same page, to get something in the public arena so that communities know what the situation is, because, you know, there are other roads like the Hihi Road, the Australian Roads one, where you can there's no way you can go up to 100. They'd like to see the speeds reduced. At this stage, we can't do anything about it.
In 4 years to get Waterfront Road from 100 to 50, and even with 2 deaths on the Hobora Hits Road, they won't reduce the speed at all.
Northern drainage, it's being dealt with.
Yeah.
That's okay. Insulation requirements. When I saw the thing on TV, and you were there, he didn't sound very interested, but the minister. But it sounds as though he's coming round to maybe this area's way of thinking. Am I right?
Oh, here it's recognising the far north as its own kind of subtropical
That's right.
climate, and doesn't need that sort of level of what Felicity's pretty much driven that.
Yeah, she is. But what, you know, are they, if they're taken seriously, I think the council needs to just keep on top of the fact that they need to take it seriously. According to the Herald, the delegations for whatever they do in that area rests with the CEO of MBIE. I mean, surely that should be a policy, not a damn CEO. So if the government just confirms its position, it's just going to add unnecessary costs to us. Yeah, and those are huge costs to a whole district. So there you go. Submission to the council annual plan. I have included that, and I hope we've all had a look at it and you're happy for it to go before the 30th of March.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a little job. Yeah, I'm sort of disappointed that we'll never get any media exposure of the things that we talk about because they're important.
Did you ask for it to be heard at the thing? When we submit it, will we ask?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bill and John always love doing that.
Me and Bill did it last time. We walked away, Bill.
Oh.
I am querying because something happened. It's actually on Mill Bay Road It's a windy, narrow road, and there has been no maintenance for a long time. The weeds are about waist high up the side of it. There's a potential for a lot of conflict between RVs with boat trailers on behind and pedestrians, because a lot of people walk it. And so I've been asking for about 6 years for some footpaths and nothing's happened. And now they're saying rates are going up 11%. Still don't get your footpath. Yeah. And we've got no money to do various things. But in the March meeting, I'll ask you this, Hilda, the council agreed to fund 2 extra staff for Te Hono. And reality is that's extra bureaucracy, in my opinion, when that 200,000 to do things a long way down the road, putting a footpath in, and I know it's all ratepayers' money, it might be a different bucket. So I just wonder about that, because the change from this government is that it's tending to go back to Section 11A of the Local Government Act, which was cancelled and changed to the Full Wellbeings, where council's got to deal with its core services, and that includes infrastructure and so on. Is the money being focused in the right place? Because in terms of bureaucracy, another thing that we have to make a submission on, and I would like some feedback, is the fact that Water Done Well, we are being given 2 options. One's in-house and the other one is in collaboration with Kaipara and Whangarei. Now, my opinion is that if we do it in collaboration with Kaipara and Whangarei, there are opportunities to save money, not spend it. So even though the council's preference is to do it in-house, I'd just like your comments, please, on, money on staff or money on actual things.
When you look at that, sorry, through the chair, when you look at things like that, I mean, if you've got a template, if you've got something working, why reinvent the wheel? And we tend to do that, but then again, that comes with organisations that, I was going to say full of themselves, and I don't mean that nastily, but we've all got our ways of doing things, and it just seems that we don't share, we don't learn from. And I'm speaking like that too because I sat on your video link with CBEC.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things I'm hearing, is that throughout the country at the moment, and I might be wrong, but it seems like entities even like us are starting to be a rare beast, or starting to fall by the wayside. And sometimes I just lose track with what's happening and why it's happening, and whether sometimes you're just beating your head against a wall. But to answer your question, sure, it just seems to me a waste of time. If we have a template and it works, why don't we use it? But again, then you've got that organizational structure, and I've been like that. I've been in the mining industry, dairy industry, and the twain shall meet sort of thing. They're all sort of protective of their ways of doing things. Yeah. What you call them? Silos. Yeah.
But to answer your question about the 2 Te Hono staff, so that's a different bucket than the footpaths. And the other thing is the council has something like 400 positions that are not even filled. So
400 positions.
Sorry, 400 positions, not all of them are filled or taken up. Sorry. So the drive from the committee Māori was that Māori housing on Papakainga land was being held up by all kinds of bureaucracies, government policy, chopping and changing. And I know for a fact, this is no bull, but 3 years ago, we opened up an account, went through an extensive process to open up an account. Should, this Papakainga housing go ahead? And then we were told about a month ago that we might be high up the list. Go to the bank and they said, we cancelled your account 2 weeks after we opened it. And there's all these banking rules things because we couldn't tell them when the money was going to come. how it was going to be distributed, because government policies had changed, etc., etc. And we picked out the building materials in February last year, always on the thing that, and so I said, well, could you reopen your account, because you shouldn't really have closed it without us knowing about it. But I'm just using that as an example, as one of the hold-ups on Māori housing. So there's all kinds of building opportunities, and it's all been hanging. And so that's why it was asked that there be 2 extra staff come on board just to expedite those papakainga housing, which generates all kinds of other stuff as well. So that's where that came from.
Okay, I get that, but I'm just using the employment of staff as an example of, if we, for example, do the 3 quarters recommendation, there are cost efficiencies by joining with 2 other councils and using less staff.
I agree, but we just had the roading. I shouldn't be saying this, it's only my opinion, but we had the roading scenario was pretty much nearly the same, and we didn't really, I think we're getting better value, even though we've got a terrible history with water and wastewater treatment plants. But we were sort of the lowest on the list for getting stuff done.
And tell you a point, actually, NPA didn't work. So, okay, so what I'm looking for in terms of this is, what does the board want to do in terms of its submission to 3 waters done well? Does it want to recommend that it's done in-house, or that it's done in collaboration with the other 2 councils?
My opinion, I don't know enough about it right now. I don't know which one. I'll be honest, I wouldn't know which is the best way to go. But so how does this work from here? Do we get more information? Is there?
I think there's a lot of time to get that information, but we're doing this.
So we're going to do that separately.
We're going to do that separately, but there is, we've all had an email regarding making a submission to the council as to whether 3 waters done well should be done in-house or in collaboration with 2 other councils.
I got that.
And so that's what I want to know in order to...
But it's really hard to make a call on that, Cheryl, because the information you're given, as we all know, is not always the big picture or the full picture. So it could be their interpretation of what might be best, but it's not, when you get down to it, the nitty gritty, may not actually be, because it's sold to you as here's your 2 options, and this one's really good and this one's not so good, but this one's really good. It's very hard to actually make a good
So what do the board want to do? Shall we say we'll make no submission? You don't have to actually necessarily do it.
No, but I wouldn't mind knowing more about it.
Well, have a look at your email on 3 waters done well.
I did. But I didn't get an answer. I couldn't make that.
What are your thoughts on it, Hilda? Being that you've probably been way down the rabbit hole.
Well, we've asked now that every month that we have monthly reports in the COCO Infrastructure Committee, the updates on every wastewater treatment plant. So, that's been good. We've had Matthew Radich in the paper declaring his hoa with the sweet waters, etc. But, I suppose I looked at the NTA thing and like it all sounded good, but did it deliver to us in the far north? And then the other thing is that this is all deliberations, and this is something that, but the other 2 councils, 2 councils really, Kaipara and Whangarei, haven't really declared whether they want to go with this model yet too. So those conversations are still going on.
And because they're much bigger than us, I would feel that they will put them first. Always, whereas us, we will always put us first.
And there's the expertise required though, have we?
Well, we're struggling with some basic stuff.
Yeah, that's a bit of
Right,
fun.
yeah. You can't get the basics done.
Okay, we'll leave that one then.
Yeah, let's.
So what is the date for that submission?
I can't remember, I haven't got my emails off me.
And is there some councils, is there any, have you guys been workshopping that?
We've had about 4.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
The workshop materials should be shared, but I'm not sure if they've actually received the final copies of them, but I can see what I can get together and send out to the board.
Thank you.
With 4 workshops, is there can we see anything this side or that side?
So that's what our council's come up with, the preferred option, but it's still up to what everybody else sees. But again, like I say, I just kind of hear whispers that the other councils may not buy into that joint CCO. I don't know. It's all surmising.
Because the other thing about that was it said something about the Te Hiku Community Board would hear submissions. We won't, I think there used to be in the document because we won't be hearing submissions on.
We're hearing submissions on something, I can't remember what. Yeah, might be that.
But
why would that be coming to us?
There's no reason for that I know of. I think it must be empirical.
Maybe it's a local thing. Like Patukure, I saw them outside Waipapa the other day outside the warehouse, asking questions, like doing
survey.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'd like, that support around talking about staff numbers, and I know you, you brought up, they're not complete or whatever. It just seems that we go back, I don't even know where they've gone now. We go back a couple of years when we travelled to Koikoi to listen to education around climate change with a new group of staff. I think that's a place where, we're starting, people going, well, that's not fixing this. If you want resilience and climate,
It's like 3
I would put all that money into putting some water tanks out at Rawani for next time something happens, as opposed to trying to educate, well, we should say the educated, because we've all been through that, And
They
I think
call
that's the direction with staff.
Climate resilience now, but it's
a waste of money.
And emissions and things are not counts as core business because they're not developing.
But then you hear, what was it, Dan speaking here just a while ago? Then you hear, that staff turnover. I mean, why is that happening?
I looked at that. We get a quarterly report about staff satisfaction. Sometimes it's better jobs come up, just family things. Yeah.
I know, it's all good. Well, Cheryl, have you?
I think so.
You finished with your report? Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to the next member's report, which will be one Bill Smith.
Yeah, take it as read, but there was something quite interesting, I didn't open my mouth because I wanted to hear and listen to other delegates from down the line, but you see back on Zoom meeting. I found that quite interesting, and some of the arguments, and the moaning and groaning, were very similar to what we hear on our table. And one of the things that I picked up on was a guy, he never took it a bit further, and I was hoping he would. And then again, I should ask the question, was the fact about, I was really interested in community boards and where they're going in the future, if they're going at all. And I was just, so any information on that would be good, John, if they've got some sort of template on that, how many were here 5 years ago, et cetera, et cetera.
They seem to be in a position of, in a way, a target, and I'm not sure if it's a monetary reason but so from a CBEC perspective, they're trying to push the localism side of it so that the strength of community board's been so close to the ground. Than, one thing they've been working on is a document that they've been working on, a relationship guidance document between council and community boards, which I think should be complete today because this year, because they want to get it done. This will be obviously with the election and everything. But all over the place, Bill, what you're talking about is challenges around, I suppose, the cost of everything. Really, I mean, you look at the councils that are removing themselves from the LGNZ as well. So it's not just targeting community boards. That's what I can see. Right. So any information I get. That was very well supported too, by the way. Like there was in and out of 30 to 40 people on that, which I think is the most we've had.
The Zoom meeting,
The Zoom meeting. But you are absolutely correct. And most of the community boards are in a situation where they feel like they're not being heard or things aren't getting across the line. And hey, at the end of the day, the councillors are probably in that position as well. But if you hear what happened today with the drainage board, and we say we've been here how many years, and we're hearing, I think it's the same old story right through.
The staff had taken it over, which they wanted to do about 5 years ago. It would be a bigger nightmare than it is now. And also, in terms of community boards, we're there to act as advocates for the community and represent the communities. We're not limited to our delegations by any means. And without us, the disconnect between council and the community is going to be greater than ever. It's not wonderful now.
No, and once again, I just want to. We're talking about time, and it takes for things to happen. I've just heard that marine place has started, and I just want to table that because then exactly. Then I acknowledge Laurie Atkinson, who waited for 15 years, and another 5 with me. But it just seems that. You try and talk about the urgency of thing and how important they are to the community, but it lands so many times on deaf ears. And that's a frustration with this position. The other thing I want to say is, and I'm going back to that meeting because they were talking about funding and remuneration rates for community boards, et cetera, et cetera. I looked back to my working career. Now, if he's getting so much dollars, and he's getting so much dollars up here way ahead. He ain't going to listen to him. And sometimes that's why I think half the time our stuff lands on deaf ears. Why should I listen to the janitor when I'm the corporate CEO, et cetera, et cetera? And it's just things like that that I find frustrating in this position. But that wasn't in my report. No. But I'm just reading all of it. Okay.
Can I ask a question, Bill? Did you get informed about the works, or did a community member have to tell you? Marine Place.
Community member.
Yeah. So that's a disappointment. That you've worked so hard for years on it.
Obviously I'm not worried because the job is done. That's number one. We will have a quiet beer somewhere up on the hill. I know. But again, it just goes back to what I just said about these levels. And
thank you, Bill.
That's all. Cheers.
Darren.
You can take mine as read. It's just a little bit boring this week. A few RFSs and they're all under rates and stuff. So but take mine as read, please.
Thank you. Rachel will do yours before mine.
I'll take mine as read. Just had to govern the general. Hopefully you could all. It was really hard to hear her address, but I tried to send it out to you all to listen to the video.
No sound system?
You look lovely, Rachel.
Oh, thank you. I loved her dress. Yeah, it was great. And so that was very well, I felt like that was very well received, but not necessarily well advertised, I guess, like I know that Unanga didn't even know it was, Te Arawa didn't even know it was on.
They were hosting it.
Well, we were talking to, what was his name? Cheryl, on the committee of Te Ahu. Tom.
Oh, Tom Allen.
And he talked to them and they didn't know she was coming. So then they got involved. So I think it was a bit of a after thing. Oh, I know you can't, but, you know, it's like important. So, but it went well. And yeah, it was really nice to have that. And then I've just got my notes in here from when I went down to Wellington. That should have really gone in the one before, but it was just happened real quick and I had to type it all out. So that was good. John, thanks for sending me down there.
I appreciate your report.
Yeah,
Very
good.
I must admit, I noticed that last year when we went to the conference. Thank you for your reports, Rachel, because some of us are good at reports and some of us aren't.
I wouldn't say I'm good at reports, but I tried to just, like I took notes and tried to just do some quick little key points. Hopefully they are, a lot of it, well, some of it was quite over my head because I was there, probably the only community board member, and they were all mayors and, you know,
I think,
and me.
Our chair, Susan, Sarah, was there.
Yeah.
Did you meet her?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't meet her at the thing, but I'd met her at the conference. Yeah. But I just tried to, and John was there as well. From Kerry, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we sat together and went through some stuff. But I had good talks to him, which was interesting.
Yes.
But hopefully, yeah, there's something there. And I stayed for the next day, the rural and provincial one, which was probably more in line with where we sit to, being rural, discussing things that are all important to us, like healthcare and wastewater and all those things. So it was interesting to see where they're all at with a lot of those things, like fluoridation of water, which I'm not down with, but yeah, just listening to all the different kinds of points and yeah, it was interesting. I found it really good. So hopefully you get to read that. Other than that,
I'll do my report last. Did you want to?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just a few, because I was put up a monthly report online, but I suppose the three main ones I've been pushing towards Kaitaia Airport to get something happening up there. You know, there's been iwi interest. There's also like what the pilots kind of want to see happen. I was meant to meet one of them, but didn't get it. I don't read my messages all the time, and when he texts, he's one of the air ambulance drivers. He kind of says, "Oh, if you're there at 10, well, you know, I read it at 10:30." But anyhow, so Kaitaia Airport really get some action happening there, like the runway. But the critical thing that everybody, the main ones who have lots to do with aeroplanes is emergency fuel. But definitely the two landing the runways, and there's a few other things, and I think they're going to set up a working group because wasn't even on Whānau Holdings work plan, you know, like. But also Nai Takoto are saying, and probably the other hapu are saying, well, we want to be involved. If you want the fencing done, we can give you a better rate. You know, they just want to be involved with developing their land. So Kaitaia Airport was one nearly finished in sort of all of the Cody Dam, Ngākohu Trust. And they're like the dam's been done, but since that big weather thing, there's been a little bit of discoloration of the water, what's coming through, but that should settle down, and they're looking at returning the land to the original landowners soon. And was a really good little solution came from NRC, all that topsoil from over at Mahimaru. They need to put topsoil up there and up at the Cody Dam and former Cody Dam. And NRC said, well, you can come and get all this. It's free, but you have to cart it. So all that topsoil, widening the Owenee River. And then the kind of last phase after they give the land back will be planting a wetland area there. And I'd invite everyone to go online every month to read the COCO report if you want to know about what's happening about roading and water. It's in there. I find them good. It tells you the month before what roads have been done, and then what's the proposed things that are going to be done the next month. I don't know. I just find them good. I like to go to those hui. And I attended one. Audit and risk. They have an independent chair and audit and risk committee that meets every quarter, which I get a little bit of comfort out of because it talks about, finances, where we're at operationally and on capital stuff. And, Steve McNally's always asking the questions. He's always looking for business plans and numbers, and it's kind of makes you feel safe, and I suppose it forces the organisation to look at actually where are we at, especially with this independent chair. And the other thing we had a lot to do with because Bill came to the Māori rating thing out at Haitatai Marangai, and one of the things that the Chief Financial Officer has said is that somebody has said, we're losing a lot of money from income from writing off Māori rates. Well, our Chief Financial Officer, he said, that's ghost money. It doesn't exist. It's a figure that's been stuck on the books, and the chair of the Financial Audit and Risk said that figure shouldn't even be in our books because it's wrong, and there's an appearance that money is owed. So I found that interesting. So all Māori lands where it's unused, etc., should be non-rateable. So yeah, those are the things that I find interesting. Getting through that.
One question.
Sure.
Sorry, just pertaining back to the airport.
Yes.
And you mentioned the fuel.
Yes.
Are they going to put above ground tanks back at the airport?
I have no idea.
Anytime soon?
Well, that's our call, because I just think it's been another one of those projects that were put off to 2026. I said no, what'll happen. Yeah. But that's the good thing is that Kaitai Airport Committee, and I think the air pilots are saying the same thing, especially for emergencies.
We should be writing letters from the community board to support that.
That would be good. And the other thing is that the Kaitai Airport is not yet designated as a civil defence centre, so it needs to be.
That place should be spick and span and ready to roll in any kind of. We've just been lucky that we haven't.
Do you think it'll even become international?
Could be, and that's the
because
point.
we're closer to
It's the potential is once it moves up the rating that it's on. At the moment, that's why we're going to get little planes.
Kakirikiri is completely non-realistic. They couldn't even, they could not land the plane the other day in fine weather, but because there had been some drizzle, they didn't have ABS brakes on the plane and they couldn't land it.
So this one's better.
I like this runway in New Zealand being my north on the north side. It can take it. It can take a Hercules or a 747.
Yes, something, a resolution from the community board would be good about the airport.
Write that down.
We do that to the counter bit.
We should add that to our annual plan, maybe. Can we?
Final holdings?
No, it's not always just final holdings, even to the council, because the council has the lease.
Yeah.
So what do you exactly want to say?
That we support to urge the Whānau District Council to start upgrades of fuel storage, runways, etc., etc.
Yeah.
There's a budget.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, as nice as it is to go to Kirikiri Airport, every time I walk in there, I'm just like,
This isn't to
I do. I'm like, what?
Quite often they're fogged in and we're not.
We fly rain, hail or shine.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think that it should be a resolution, to be honest, but I'm happy to include it in our submission. And,
yeah, I think it should be both.
That the board urges Whānau District Council to start upgrading.
Get real serious.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure we could.
Of course we could.
Yeah. I think you're right, Cheryl.
And do both.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we should submit on it, and we should.
Because it's red. You know, we read all the minutes of all the community boards.
Because if our roads went down, that's all we've got.
That's right.
And you would get like supplies in there. We're so lucky we have that. It should be a big honor for us. Like it should be a really
So what have we got there?
looked after place. Because it's all we've got. There's a
Okay.
Can I ask?
So we move in a motion.
Yep.
And including it in it.
Excuse me. Okay. Do you want to finish that first? Shall I do my report? Marissa, will you write that and do her?
Through the chair, can I just ask one more question? Was there any outcome or was there any meeting held with Parapara Marae out there in terms of Aurere?
Yeah, I went out there. I went out there and it was good. I just asked it. I was told the day before that they were having a meeting, so I asked could I go and speak. And it was about Te Aurere, about
The Waka place where you were.
yeah.
Where the Waka.
So there's been an opposition to a resource consent to put a building, move a building onto the site, because land issues, but it's also they sound like they're ready to move on, and what the marae said is that they don't mind having a meeting with the what's the name? I can't remember their name. The Te Aurere trust that's there, Te Arawai, that they don't mind having a meeting, but there are conditions because they're technically the mana whenua, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
so there's ill feeling on one part about being left out of things, but they were really good. They explained their position, and then I suggested to both parties that they might like a facilitator. That's on the table, but they've got a timeline, Te Aurere, and they just said that they had moved on. They want to see the people involved at the operations, and it was sort of a lot of a good feeling there. But so I suspect it was to do with that somebody cancelled a meeting between the two parties and about 2 years ago, and that's what sort of
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All good. Thank you, Hilda. We'll move on to my report and can take it as really is. So what, I mean, Bev's normally our champion with following up our requests. It's in my report. I'd say, would she be looking into that, or is it something we need to?
So she did get a chance to look at everyone's reports before she emailed me.
Yes.
So there'll be
I'd like to speak to and get board's opinion. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's been able to read it all, but the Unbound Drive traffic calming request. So a chap, I don't need to name names, but a chap got put onto me because he kept coming down here and asking staff to, I don't know, to talk about, to somehow get traffic calming on Allendale Drive. So Elizabeth Stacey was very helpful, and Bev, and I moved. They put a trailer there, one of Reap's traffic trailers. Yeah. And to me, the results, especially that a trailer was in place, is horrific. But Elizabeth has said in her reply that basically there is no, I don't know, Hilda, what you guys can do. There's no budget there for traffic calming. But I asked the question: how do we, if the board agrees? Because I actually, I even went personally and saw Peter Jackson, who lives on that road, and he just said it's just crazy, you know, at times. How do we? Someone might be able to advise me. How do we prioritise something like that so it does get into an LTP, or, you know, do we
add it to our submission?
Add it to our submission for the annual plan, or
yes, start to our last one.
Because it sounds like it could take so long if we don't try and escalate it. If all on board thinks that it should be escalated. I can't understand why something like that costs so much, personally.
No, what?
You look at the humps that down Waipap, enter Waipapa Kauri Ring, you know, as you enter the two little humps, it solves the problem. But anyway.
But there also should be a police presence by the look of it. 10% and 11% is ridiculous. Plus the fact that according to Facebook, there are cars stolen here all the time. What's going on in this place?
I agree. But right now, I just want to ask.
Yes, you're going 100k through there.
Oh, yeah. And
that's one car.
And honestly, when the trailer's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine the results.
Yeah.
So,
you can't really afford not to do some of these things, because that is a child right there that will get
100%. And when Bev looked into and created an RFS for myself and this gentleman that complained, there was already a history of them. Kevin Briscoe was one. There was a history of other RFSs around the speed.
So you don't always need humps in Whangarei and Kensington. They've got
chicanes.
Curly things, yeah. That's what their name is. Chicanes, and you can't drive.
Humps are probably cheaper.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you'd be changing the whole road, but a couple of humps down there, I would have thought.
You could
put your own in.
Yeah,
that's what I'd be doing.
Where say this is the side of the road here, they're going to put two little humps out on either side to narrow the road.
Yeah.
So you have to slow down. And that's the first part of the traffic calming.
I don't actually care what they do, but I want to get that prioritised so that when they go to do it, we're like, so it speeds it up.
Needs to be on a list, at least,
So
somewhere.
put it on our resolution thingy as well, and we'll put it in here in the submission as well.
Mm-hmm. Write that down.
So if you read at the bottom there, unfortunately, traffic calming is not encouraged in the GPS during this funding cycle.
Too bad.
Too bad.
I'm not going to. That's irrelevant.
I see.
At least do something that's ridiculous.
And so, should we be pressuring the government to give us some funding? I mean, they've told us that we're not going to have any footpath money, which is one of the issues as far as I'm concerned, with lack of footpaths. There's got to be some money somewhere.
I'm 5 years into traffic calming outside the Martup store, which is still 100 k's. The Waiora Marae, which is across the road, and the Waiora Urupa, which is across the road, and it's still 100 k's. But we're no further down the track. And what Kotahi come up every year, from do the speeds, and then nothing happens. And their answer is there hasn't been enough deaths.
Same, yeah.
We need to ramp up our white whinging and our our voice, even from the community board.
Well, once, if, for example, we had the guy from the Northern Age come along, was a democracy services person, and say, oh, this is what they're talking about, this is really important, and reporting it somewhere, people know what we do, and that's what I've put in my report. We don't get enough.
We need you standing out down there, John.
Well, social media is a great outlet, Cheryl. Maybe we need on our community, what we need to look at is our community board. Do we have a Facebook page?
No,
Facebook page. Yeah, but we could make that a thing where we put all these things that concern us on social media and get people on board. Like if you get the community on board, it's probably more likely to happen. It's like the squeaky. Council's always been the squeaky wheel. Ask me about my road.
They don't like us doing it because they've got a communications department, but the communications department doesn't take any notice of what we're doing either. No, and it certainly doesn't publicise.
If you recall when they when I put decoys on the footpath outside Hayesville.
Yeah, and they're kind of
as a paper, they were done in 3 weeks.
So that's what we need to do, just go more public about what we're doing.
I think so. Why not?
So I don't have a problem with it, but our communications department
might get struck off.
Why don't you just do a Facebook thing?
Yeah.
Then escalate it to the age.
So it needs to go to happenings in Kaitaia and Kaitaia Notice Board.
So how can we escalate this on our right now? Like we don't
plan a day. What day you want to do it? What time?
But I'm just thinking officially.
Officially, we can do a resolution.
Yes.
And officially, we can put it in.
Prioritise.
Yeah, and then you can just make an appointment with Phil to stand outside. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
So which particular road are we talking about?
Allendale Drive.
Good, because our buses now have to come down. 3 buses.
Yeah.
Have now got to come, the result of the diversion of Quarry Road.
Have you had any feedback from your drivers?
No, but I know that my mokopuna come home 20 minutes later and leave 20 minutes earlier.
Yeah, but I'm saying about speeding drivers in Allendale Drive.
No, but we did worry about them. We had meetings with the NRC and council about it. But, we're aware, no, I haven't actually talked to the bus drivers.
That might be interesting.
But, we were really aware because they closed the other bridge from outside the warehouse. That one's closed. And then they had roadworks as well on the top. So, there was like things happening around.
And that's going to finish in May because it'll be finished.
Yeah.
The speeding in Allendale Drive won't. And that's where the issue is really.
I wouldn't mind mentioning, although specifically for Allendale Drive, after horrific results from a speed trailer and multiple requests for service. The borders of after the results from speed
we don't want to see another California hill.
And
it takes people and kids getting hit and killed.
Yeah,
and
there's
then we're like,
there's a lot more foot traffic there.
Yeah, and it is becoming a really busy way around the back there.
The board is aware
there's heaps of kids down there.
that traffic calming is not encouraged in the GPS, but
we don't care. We want to do it anyway.
After the horrific same problems in all results, one intersection, you want to see the cars going through
What's
there
the GPS?
every 2 months. It's just a sign. GPS during this because people just come in and cycle and they bang every time.
Suddenly policy statement.
Yeah, and that is what the urban speed trailer with their multiple. That's what they say. There's been no deaths. Several
accidents.
Well, same as our road though, Bill. It was like there's not enough accidents. I'm like, there's plenty. We pull people out there all the time, but it's just up our road. So we pull people out of the drain all the time, but they don't report it. So now we make them.
It's the same with State Highway 110 intersection with me and Horne. Same thing with Wakakotai back in the day.
Well,
no deaths.
You know, that was
Yeah. But we couldn't come in and say, class couldn't stop. You had to go around the car and cut back, and if there was something coming.
So how does this sound, team? That the Hiku Community Board requests that Barnwell District Council prioritise Allendale Drive for Allendale Drive traffic calming. Although the board is aware that traffic calming is not encouraged in the GPS.
We have to say that. I can't say we want traffic calming there.
Well, what I suppose what I was trying to say is we've gone that far as to find out that we've been told there's no money. But now, after having...
encouraged doesn't tell me there's no money. That says there might be, but would rather you don't.
Yeah.
No.
So they've answered that if you don't put it in, they won't, they'll say
the same answer.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to but after the horrific results of the speed trailer and multiple RFS requests from residents, we believe this has to be escalated
To a priority.
And carry on in my report just quickly. Again, Elizabeth was very helpful. So that I had a resident, and boy, they had a lot of knowledge with them too. They knew all the rules and regulations. But just asking why there were so many large trucks using North Road. I know there's quite a bit happening down Brook Street with F&R construction and all that, and I wondered. But anyway, Elizabeth helped, and I didn't give Elizabeth's information. I kept copying and pasting her replies and giving it to the resident. And then in the end, Elizabeth just said, look, John, I don't mind taking over from here, which was really good of her. So I gave her. And it turns out there is speed humps going in prior to the roundabout at North Road and Matthews Ave. So that's probably to do with Cotton Intermediate School and slowing the traffic down. Other than that, team, that's my report. I'll follow up on a couple of things with Ben when she returns. So we're gonna do this motion before we finish on. First we'll do the Allendale traffic one. I move this motion, and we've got a seconder. Darren, all in favour? Aye. And also, if we could go back to the resolution regarding. Geez, where's my eyes? So we didn't remove this. So that the Hiku Community Board requests again, we request a letter to be sent to all land drainage ratepayers explaining their obligations under the land drainage bylaw. B, that we request the staff progress the draft land drainage management plan and request that a workshop be held for land drainage.
I thought we've done that. But anyway.
No, we didn't move it because Marisha hadn't finished typing it up. So I'll move that if we've got a seconder.
Yeah.
And all in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're near the end. If you could, Rachel, if you could help us with the karakia, please. Sorry.
Are we going to come to discuss hurricane?
Are we?
After.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
What did you want to say?
No, you can. You do a great job.
Oh, sorry, Rachel. Can I just...
Sure.
Oh, and we need a mover and a seconder that the Te Hiku Community Board requests that council staff progress fuel storage, runways and budgeted works as soon as possible for the Kaitaia Airport.
Well done.
Good. I'll move that again.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
And all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And well done, John.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Yes.
It may look easy, it's not.
Yeah, well done.
Well done.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Kia tautua rangimārie e te runanga o ngā iwi o te ao. Let your peace reign on us. We ask a blessing on everyone here as we set off on our journey. We just pray for health and wealth and all the good stuff for our community, that our voice will be heard and we can attend to these issues for our community. Amen.
Can we end the live stream, please?